go. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Ask See Anything, brought to you by Moser Consulting. I'm your host, Letitia Gwynn, Moser's marketing coordinator, and we're so glad to have you with us on this episode. We're kicking off a brand new series focused on the real experiences of college interns as they step into the professional world. We hear a lot about internships from the company's perspective, resumes, recruiting, hiring, but not always from the students themselves. What are they actually thinking? What excites them? What makes them nervous? What does today's job market feel like for young professionals entering their careers? Joining me today are two of our summer marketing interns here at Moser Consulting. First, we have Sophia Wolfgang from the University of Louisville, and Sophia majors in marketing and is originally from Fishers, Indiana. We're also joined by Will Spink from Indiana University and the Herron School of Art and Design. Will is a graphic design major and is from Carmel, Indiana. Throughout today's conversation, we'll talk about career goals, internship expectations, workplace culture, imposter syndrome, the pressure of have it all figured out, and what young professionals are really looking for from employers today. We'll also have a little fun along the way and hear what both Sophia and Will hope to say at the end of the internship journey. So let's jump in and get to know our 2026 marketing interns. Will and Sophia, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Hello. Good morning. So you've been with us for about a week. And it's funny to think about, how interns end up wherever it is that they are. And so I was wondering what made you choose your major and your career path?
Okay, so for me, I kind of started within marketing in high school where I was heavily involved within our marketing FFA team. So that kind of gave me an intro to it, which took me into school at the University of Louisville, where marketing is now my major. And I've continued to just love it with the classes I took. So that kind of got me into my major a little bit.
For me, I've always been interested in creating and working as a team. So when I was going into college, I decided to kind of stray away from physical art, which I was previously doing, and move into digital and understanding how to make graphics and stuff like that.
Sweet. What attracted you to Moser?
Okay, so full honesty, I think searching for internships is a little bit of who responds to me and like what feels right. So I think for me, whenever I did like my interviews and kind of did some research on the company and stuff like that, it just felt right and was different than some other places that I had talked to. So for me, that kind of is what got me here, is feeling.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. When I looked at the job posting, it just seemed like a lot of different things to learn and a versatile amount of graphic design work, marketing work, and different things to explore.
Yeah, widespread options.
Right.
Did the fact that the word paid appeared in front of the word internship factor in at all?
Okay, I will say I applied to like 3 unpaid ones just for the love of the game. Never got a response from any of them to this day. So, I mean, contributed, but
Yeah,
not
it definitely
enough,
helps.
apparently.
Yeah, it is nice to have an internship that pays. I did my internship at Jack's Beach Police Department and they did not pay me. I also did not get to do much. Police work is you have to be trained for it, right? So I got to go in the car and do some things, but I would say my favorite part was when we got to shoot all the guns. That was a great time.
Now, what week is that during for this internship?
I know, right? So what were your first impressions when you walked in?
I know for me, whenever I got to the door, it was like Sam running towards me to open the door as fast as she possibly could because she's just like the most welcoming face ever. So I think it started off very welcoming. Of course, it's just, nobody knows each other and you're just a little bit of awkward silence of like getting to know each other and stuff too. But I think that was surrounded by a lot of employees talking to each other and you could just tell immediately that like everybody was so friendly with each other and everybody knows somebody on some point of like personal level. So I would say that was like very confidence boosting to walk into, like that's the environment that you're stepping into.
Yeah, when I came in, I thought the office was really nice, and I noticed there was some other interns, which definitely helped me feel like more welcome. Like it would be an easy, ongoing experience to get onboarded and feel acclimated with the workplace.
Yeah. Well, Will, I want to ask you this next question first because you're very quiet. And so I'm like, I gotta know something about Will. So what would you say is something that people would be surprised to learn about you?
I think people would be surprised to know that I've been skateboarding like my whole life. I feel like you can kind of tie that into graphic design in ways you wouldn't expect because there's a lot of like different types of designs and creatives that do things in skateboarding, and putting that into skateboarding in an interesting way for you to learn graphic design. I did some work with skateboard shop over the school year year. Yeah, there was a lot of graphic design that goes into, creating boards and t-shirts and the whole overall feel of a skateboard company.
You
I
got to
associated that
send
with
us like
myself.
one of your designs that went on the bottom of a skateboard. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely will.
Sweet. What about you, Sophia?
Okay, I'm a very open book, so I feel like I kind of uncover my cards quick, but I think the one thing that surprises people is I was a swimmer for like 8 or 9 years.
What were your races?
Okay, so I am convinced that I had races that my body decided to be good at when I was swimming club season and some when I was swimming high school season. So, like, whenever I was in high school season, I was the butterfly. Like, get me in the pool, I'm ready to go. That was not how I was during club. And I think that just because it was longer laps. But I loved a good IM. I loved doing a mix of all and being able to, suck it some and catch up on the other ones. It balances out, but you get to do all of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. What would you say you're passionate about outside of school and work now?
I would say for me, I place a lot of my passion in my family. I love hanging out with my family, and I know that's like the cheesiest sentence ever, but they're pretty entertaining. And just like having quality time with others, like no matter what I do, whenever I like set up my weekend and my little to-do list or my weeks, I'm always just making sure I get like the most quality time with the people that I'm around. So I feel like during the school year, that falls into a lot of sports. So passionate about hanging out with people at football games and a good tailgate. I am there for absolutely. College football is the way to be passionate about something.
I'm all about when other women love sports because it's not
Okay,
that common, but I love it.
but I will say I was raised and am currently an Ohio State fan, and I understand that that means that people will hate me, and I'm okay with it. But I sometimes have to lead with that. I'm like, no, like I am an Ohio State family. Like it's okay. You're allowed to make a face. Like I understand. I understand the implications.
Yeah, what about you, Will?
Yeah, for me, it's pretty similar. When you're in school doing graphic design, you're spending a lot of time behind a screen. So the most important thing for me is probably just getting outside and spending time in social settings and with other people.
Now, do
Yeah.
you still skateboard?
I don't as much, but I do. A lot of my friends, like my two roommates, skateboard too. So we'll go out probably every other week to the local skate parks.
We need to make this an event. This
I
is
know,
like
right?
Moser skateboarding. I'm sure insurance company would be like, nope, denied. Not a company event.
I have not touched a skateboard in roughly 35 years, so I believe my adventure would be astounding and brief.
Will, do you do shortboard, longboard?
The short one, the one that like you can pop tricks on and
Yeah.
stuff. Yep.
The best I ever got was like an ollie. I could ollie,
Pretty
and
good.
I tried like to be able to turn the skateboard. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I had to be careful because I was like I played basketball and I couldn't get hurt. That was my
Yeah.
moneymaker.
Right. Most people have other sports that are more important, so they don't want to risk losing their ability to do that.
What are you hoping to gain from the internship?
Whenever you're talking about like gaining from things, it's a lot about not knowing what you need to know. So I think just becoming like knowledgeable and familiar with softwares you've never worked in and things like that, and just being able to get to know what you need to be knowledgeable in, I think is something that I'm hoping to gain from this.
And Will, what are you most excited about?
I'd say I'm most excited to, yeah, learn new programs. I'm pretty well versed in Adobe, but specifically the video making softwares, Premiere, continuing to learn about After Effects, and then getting even more acclimated in Illustrator and InDesign. Also learning web development or learning how to make websites, links and stuff like that is also a big part of what I want to learn about in this internship and what I'm excited for.
Awesome. And what kind of mentor or leadership support are you hoping for?
I'd say I'm looking for Janelle and Jade have been very helpful in learning how to work all these programs and setting things up. And yeah, so working alongside with them, I'm excited to continue figuring everything out and creating designs and working as a team. So far, I've done a little bit of social media and that's been fun.
Yeah. Sophia, I know you're interested in, marketing coordination and project management and stuff like that. So what about you?
For me, working with people that are just like on your side and willing to help just like builds the best mentorships kind of people to be around. I think that throughout life in different jobs, we probably all have like a little bit of comparison 90% of bosses and people we've worked with that are more like open to communicate versus not. And it teaches you how important the open communication is. So I would really hope for that. And also just being able to, I'm watching all of you guys and how you guys coordinate with each other and all these things. And it's wonderful to see like how that communication rolls and how open you guys are with just like making sure you're on the same page. So I think just being able to watch that has been wonderful too.
Yeah, that's awesome. I will say that one thing our team is really good at is communicating.
Yeah,
You know, if we've got anything that we need help with, that we need to work on, that we need to change, everybody's really open about getting better at everything that we do. And no one gets upset or frustrated or whatever because somebody's being honest about what they think, and I love that about our team. I know that now in the world, there's a lot going on, right? So AI is booming. We've got stuff going on in the Middle East. Gas prices are insane, and there's a lot of talk about the job market and how it's changing and all that. And so I wanted to ask you guys, in today's job market, how does it feel for someone your age?
Yeah, I know for what I've kind of looked at, I've kind of been more like open to like project management side, but also like marketing versus I know like Will's more into like graphic design and stuff. So for me, I've just like tried to really play the game of building my resume and doing that. And sometimes I feel like that can feel overwhelming because you're submitting these things and sometimes you do have to be a little bit like, yeah, I'm qualified for this and I think that I could thrive and do great in this role. And then you don't get the follow-up you want or you interview and it's just like not the right fit. So I think that sometimes that can feel overwhelming of just like, I'm a very like trust the path. It's gonna happen how it's supposed to and it'll all pan out. But sometimes when you're in the middle of that and it's like, okay, where is this going? Like, where does this end up at? And just being able to stay hopeful, but also just like consistent in applying and consistent in networking and talking to people, I think can just be overwhelming. But it all happens for a reason, is all I have to say at the end of the day.
There's definitely a good amount of internships out there, I'd say, but the real question was whether they were suitable for what I was doing and whether my portfolio would match kind of what they were going for. And yeah, I was really just working on building my resume and having an interesting portfolio that matches what I strive to do and tying it all in together.
Do either of you ever feel the pressure of, I have to have it all figured out?
So mine's back to, I just got to trust what's happening. I'm a very like spiritual person. I just got to lay it out of like, I'm in the thick of it right now for some reason. It's going to happen. So I think just like the pressure of having it all figured out, I try to not let that kind of affect the path that I'm on because if I build it with worry, I'm not going to be able to succeed. So I think for me, it's a lot of like, yes, concern in like, okay, what am I supposed to do now? But also just like not allowing that to take over the confidence that you have towards whatever you're working towards.
That was a good answer. I'd say definitely similar. Probably worry sometimes that I need everything put together, but then there's other days where I just feel like everything's going smoothly. And if you look back on it, you just got to think about everything that's gone right and what you did to get there and what you should continue to do. And yeah, I think it's been more good than bad.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes you have like the most week of success of like this one right, and then it's like yes, and then the next week it's like no, and it's like okay, it has to balance out. It will balance out. It will balance out.
And the truth of that is if you can keep that mindset throughout your entire career, that will bode well, very, very well for you because that's life.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually you guys are going to graduate, you're going to get a job, you may have a family. Things are going to happen. Your house is going to flood, like your car's going to break down, and then you may have kids to feed and you really just have to roll with the punches of life and you have to take the good with the bad, but be able to outweigh the good with the bad. Our last podcast, we talked about resiliency and how important and it is. And when you can be resilient, how effective that is in your life to be able to move forward, not just making it, but thriving in it.
Part of this internship experience is just getting experience.
Mm-hmm.
And as you progress in your career and in life, the more experience you have, like you build up this bank account of experience that helps you not worry because you're seeing stuff that you recognize because you've seen it before and different ways to possibly deal with it. So one of the things we're going to try to do is just build up that experience bank for you, and so that you don't have to worry because you're seeing things that you've seen before. And if you're seeing things you haven't seen before, you at least have the confidence that I have the ability ability that whatever this is, I can figure this out.
Yeah. And before you know it, you're going to graduate from college. And what I want to know is what makes a company attractive for a young professional?
I think Will said it earlier, just how helpful everybody's been with just navigating things. So I think whenever I'm looking at a new company to start, there is going to be those things that you're navigating for the first time, and working on a team of people that are willing to invite you in and be excited to work together, but also helpful with that is, I think, kind of what builds a job. So, well, it's not as much like company level. I think just like, during interviews and people talking about the teams, at least I feel like you can get kind of a vibe on what that feels like, and that willingness to just be there and be present, I think, can do extraordinary things for wanting to work for a company.
Will,
Yeah.
what would you say is important when it comes to culture and flexibility in a company?
For me, I think having clients is a big part of that, because just changing it up from just having one brand identity to all sorts of different things to do, and definitely makes it a lot more interesting, and it definitely makes it a little less the same all the time, because if you're just working internally for a company and there's no clients to work with, it gets a little taxing to the brain probably to do the same brand overview every time you're working on a project. So I think that makes it the most interesting and diverse for me.
Yeah, which is awesome because Moser, we have Moser Marketing Services. So we also work with outside clients. So we create everything for Moser, but we also do it for, say, Chinto Shoes. Or we have another client, Carmoto, and we're getting more and more clients. But it's nice because our designers get to work on a lot of different projects, a lot of different brands. And we even have different brands within Moser, which is great.
Right.
But yeah, that is a huge difference when you're not same old every single day, and you get to change it up. What would you say is your biggest fear going into the internship?
I'd say maybe figuring out what I'm the best at and what I'm the worst at. So I hope I'm the best at graphic design and it turns out good, but we'll see. And if I'm not doing great in specific areas, that's something good to learn from, but definitely a little nervous about that.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that being like nervous versus scared is our big pivotal moment here. But I know for me, I have had some experience with Adobe, but I have nowhere near the experience that like Will has on those platforms and things. So I think just being ready and willing to go and watch a YouTube video when I don't understand how something works on a certain platform is just something that kind of makes me, it's not even a fear, but just kind of a little hesitant on doing those things. But I know that once you lead with confidence and you learn it, you get it down pretty quick. But just like knowing how to familiarize myself. And I think that'll be very helpful for us to work together too, because, there might be some things that I am not going to be your person for, but will be your person for. And I think that we can balance it out pretty well.
Yeah, 100%. And really, when you go into, like right now, you're in an internship, right?
Yeah.
We don't expect you to know much. And that's the beauty of it. Like you're coming to learn, to be a sponge. But I would say even when you do go into your careers, it remains the same.
Yeah.
Because if you ask Brian, Janelle, Jade, and even me, things change so much. You're constantly learning. You're not going to know everything. And so if you remain a sponge and just continue to add bricks to that wall of knowledge, I don't know why I chose that metaphor because it doesn't really work. But anyway, you just roll with it.
You can make it work.
Right? You roll with it, you make it work, which leads me into my next question. Have you ever experienced imposter syndrome?
For me, definitely yes. I think sometimes, especially in this day and age, sometimes whenever you experience things like those, you like get away from the situation and you're like, oh, that isn't how I should have been feeling in that moment. And like, I'm very qualified and like, I've earned being here. So I think sometimes whenever you just like feel that way, or at least have experiences, just leading with the confidence, even when you're not confident. And it's just like being around people. And also in situations like that, you never know who you're going to meet and how it's supposed to play together. So always remaining confident in yourself, even though if you don't feel like maybe you should be there, is I think important, because at the end of the day, whenever you're reflecting on it later, it can be like, okay, I maybe felt like I didn't belong there, but I did the best of my ability and also met some new people and felt like I made my way a little bit.
I probably have a few times, maybe earlier on in some of my classes, and it is rough, but you got to really think about the fact that probably most other classes also feeling the same way. And yeah, there's people to help you, there's people to learn from. And the more and more you try and learn about the things that you're trying to not feel like you have the imposter syndrome for, the more that you're going to understand and feel more comfortable in that setting.
What worries you the most about life after graduation?
Come back to me in April, March next year because I don't let myself worry about things that I can't fix. Next March, April, I'm sure I'll have an answer for you and hopefully I'm like starting to fix it, but I don't let myself do it until I have a solution. So give me not a year, give me like 9 months and I'll be ready for you.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
have a
really
list.
true. I haven't really been thinking enough about it, probably. I just kind of feel like I'm still in school and still just going to be in school, but definitely not how it's going to be. Yeah, I guess just not being in school is not something I've thought about too much, but it is worrying now that you bring it up. But
He just started his worry list. Don't worry. You can wait till April next year too.
Post graduation and going into the workforce, work stuff is work stuff. Like the thing that I found most different and like had to adjust to was not living within 5 minutes of like, I don't know, 80 of my closest friends and actually having to worry about logistics and timing and when can we get together. So professionally, your job's going to be where it is. You can figure that out. But as people spread out, it's like how to maintain contact and see people in person. Because I have friends that live in Maine. I have friends that I've one that just moved to Alaska. It's like, well, might be a second before I see them in person again, but just that like the steady supply of just somebody to go do something with.
Yeah.
Like as that tap is turned off and you move out, it's like that takes some adjusting too.
Yeah. I came up with a worry, but it's not going to happen because I won't let it happen. But I think my biggest worry would be somehow having to drive downtown every single day of the week.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not gonna let it happen. It will not happen. You guys will not see me every day down there, but
But that's so much fun because it's always a new adventure because something else is always under construction or now closed.
something else is always wrong. There's a new thing to add to the list.
I will say that if you can get your mind to not worry about things like you said that you cannot control because it doesn't add a single day to your life. But what I would say is coming up with plan A and B and then being ready to pivot just in case things change. And the reason why I say that is because when you think about, the money that you're going to make, the lifestyle that you want, how you want to live, the important thing about that is it takes money to do all that, right? And so you want to be able to have that lifestyle, and that takes a little bit of planning. And so something that we have done in our family is we think about, okay, how do we want to retire? And if I can say this, put money into your 401k and put it into some stocks and don't blow it on 1,000 other things, because the money that can grow for you early in your career, and then when you're 20 years in, other people are trying to figure out what they're going to do after they retire. You're like, I'm set. I did
Nothing
not
beats.
think about those things when I first started. And I made great money. And now 20 years later, I'm like, oh God, if I would have thought of that earlier, so financial planner. Minute you get your job, get a financial planner, start that so that you may be able to retire in 15 years.
Absolutely nothing beats time invested over 30-year 20-year, like nothing beats that length of time. And piggybacking on what Tish said, wherever you get a job, check with your benefits if they have a matching 401k program. The bare minimum amount of money that you contribute is what it takes to get the full match that company offers. Not all companies offer a matching donation to your retirement, but if they do, the bare minimum you put in is what it takes to get that matching, because that doubles your investment in your future.
My dad would really enjoy this conversation right now. I got my 1 year anniversary email from my investments because that was what I did for my birthday last year. I was like, I need to learn how to do this. So I don't have me explain it to somebody, but I'm not losing money. So
that's awesome. Okay, so let's get into the fun stuff. If this internship had a theme song, what would it be?
So far, I would say Easy Like Sunday Morning. It's been going well. It's been a very smooth onboarding process. So yeah, I'm just definitely enjoying it so far and expect.
Well, I love the fact that you had that in your back pocket.
I do too, because I always tell people, I'm like, don't put me on aux. You're going to be disappointed. I would agree though.
Yeah.
I would absolutely agree. I think everything's been really smooth. And whenever there's anything that's like not, everybody works to fix it for us like so quickly. It's awesome. So I think that that's a great song to choose for this.
And what app do you spend way too much time on?
Okay, for me, especially with it being race weekend this weekend, I've now like found myself in a wedding planning time of my life. I love Pinterest. I love scrolling on Pinterest. I don't always like what it has to show me, and I love whatever recipes I come from there.
I love how you whispered that. It's like,
I love Pinterest. It's like, I know. I know. Somebody had the Pinterest CEO as their commencement speaker this year, and I was like, yeah, yeah, I would like to be at that graduation. I will be there. Sign me up.
I definitely spend too much time on probably Instagram. There's just a lot of like fun things to see, like people posting and like designs people are making. I follow a lot of graphic designers and a lot of skateboarders, and I feel like there's a lot going on Instagram and those worlds.
I'm kind of glad that you didn't answer Pinterest because we just start sending recipes.
oh no, now we're spending more time on Pinterest.
We have a foodies Slack channel here. I joined it day one. I was there for it.
Love it. Okay, so like a superhero, if you could instantly master one professional skill, what would it be?
Okay, my answer for this, I don't know if it stays the same because it's professional, but I'm going to count it because everybody always says it doesn't count regardless, so we'll just use it. I would love to wake up tomorrow and be able to understand and speak every language. I don't need to be able to write it, but the ability to understand, and even if it's just like baseline, like I don't need to talk geometry in somebody else's language. No, I just need like baseline communication. I would thrive. I would love that so much.
Sophia, that is so real, and that is exactly what I would choose.
Yes,
Yeah.
there we go.
I mean,
everybody's always like, that doesn't count. And I'm like, no, that is a superpower. Like, if
100%.
that is
Like
a
you could
superpower.
literally have a job in any profession, and when you can talk to anybody, it's the best.
You're right.
What about you, Will?
Sophia's answer kind of swayed mine. It's a good answer. I would say to change it up a little bit, I would maybe be able to talk to animals, like the Dr. Dolittle. But yeah, I think that would be fun. Just see what's going on in their worlds.
100%. Although sometimes I think it would be like knowing everything your husband's thinking. You're like, I don't want to know that.
No, don't give me whatever superpower that is, and don't give anybody else it because no.
All right, so what's the one thing you hope not to do as an intern?
Okay, it is 2026, and printers are still the hardest thing in the entire world. Why is it this hard to print something? It just shouldn't be. It should not be. So I think for mine is if there is ever a broken printer and you're like, oh, that's an intern. No, because I'll break it more. That's my only thing. My patience when it comes to printers, I'm not there for it. We're like pointing out printers during our tours this week, and I'm like, you won't see me there. No.
I love it. Your fear is not people, it's
It's printers. It is 2026. How is it? You have to be on the same Wi-Fi and then it Bluetooths can no.
I have been at Moser almost 6 years. I think I have printed 5 things. So
Great news. Phenomenal news.
All right. In one word, describing how you feel about entering the summer.
I guess just ready.
I would say confident, but like in what you guys have to offer us, but also like what we have to offer you. I think just being able to use the confidence and be ready for it, I think is a good way to sum it up.
All right. Last question. What do you think you'll say at the end of this internship?
I think that I will say I'm going to be disappointed if I never work somewhere that has this good of food on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. We have had phenomenal lunches, and I don't think I'm going to be ready to leave that. I mean, I'm sure, amazing growth. I'll be proud of myself, but at the end of the day, the lunches.
Yeah, that's really true. I would definitely say I would be thinking at the end of this, I hope my next job is even just like half as good as this one because just the way it's been panning out and the communication, the food, the hospitality between coworkers has been great and exactly what I'd expect from a good job.
Right. You guys are going to set the bar too high.
Yeah.
We got to lower it a little bit.
that is one of the things that we do. Moser sets the bar very high for company culture, just the way they treat their employees, the way the employees treat one another, like that camaraderie that we have. I've worked a lot of jobs in my life. The culture at Moser is rare and it is precious. It is like you find something like that, enjoy it because not every place will be like that.
Sophia and Will, thank you both so much for joining us today and for being willing to share your honest thoughts, goals, and even some of your uncertainties that come with starting a new chapter professionally. One of the reasons we wanted to create this series is because internships are about so much more than adding experience to a resume. They're about growth, confidence, mentorship, relationships, and discovering what kind of work and workplace helps people thrive. We're excited to see how both of your journeys develop over the course of the summer. And later this year, we'll bring everyone back together and we'll follow up and revisit this conversation. We'll reflect on what we learned and what surprised you the most and whether your expectations matched reality. To everyone listening, thanks for joining us for this episode of Ask You Anything brought to you by Moser Consulting. Be sure to subscribe, follow, and share the podcast so you don't miss future conversations about careers, technology, leadership, and the people behind the work. Until next time, thanks for listening. Go.